but everyone is also braced for what could be some difficult news, Kira, because the single shot struck Charlie Kirk. Eyewitnesses said they saw a lot of blood coming from him, and then they all scattered. Now the university is urging everyone to leave campus to allow police to conduct the investigation. The suspect that was taken into custody, according to eyewitness accounts, was heard screaming, "I do it again," described as an older male wearing a blue shirt, someone who has white hair, but we've heard nothing else about the suspect, if it is indeed himself, or his condition. So far, the local police have said nothing. It's only the university that's now urging everyone to clear out of campus, Kira.
How dare you! You freaking monster! Yeah!
I don't know. He said he shot him, but I don't know, dude.
All right, all praise to our Heavenly Father, the Most High Yah, name of our Lord and Savior. Some of y'all say Yahusha, some of y'all say Yahweh Shah, and some of y'all say Jesus. All right, as many of you may know, from yesterday's what looks to be a political assassination, I wanted to show you the first clips because as you can see how, it was initially broadcast, made it look like it was just some liberal, left-wing, radical person, that they had taken into custody. And the way that the media initially reported everything was that, you know what I'm saying? They had taken a person into custody. They got the shooter, who had assassinated, Charlie Kirk yesterday. Now, a lot of people, in this country, you're showing your true colors that you have no humanity either. People laughing and making fun of, somebody dying because you don't, hold their beliefs or their opinions, and you think that they should be killed because you don't agree with them. You don't realize that you're a monster, right? So for anybody that's celebrating this, whether you agree with the man or not, or whether you like him or not, you're out of line. You see what I'm saying? And you're going to have to face the Most High Yah. So you know what I'm saying? That's why the Bible says, rejoice not when thy enemy falleth, lest the Most High be displeased and his wrath be upon you. So you don't want to get into all of that kind of garbage. But anyway, what I want to do and talk about in this video is because, as you can see from the title, was this a Zionist message to Trump, right? Because in the rest of this video, what we're going to talk about, you're going to see how this goes from initially looking like it was just some left-wing nutcase that did this, to all of a sudden it's like this was a political assassination by a professional marksman, right? And then, it starts taking on other, conspiracy theory, because it's just like, well, why wasn't there, any medical staff at these events? There are always, the EMT, ambulances and stuff around a big gathering, so y'all going to see all of that. And then after that, we're going to get into, some things that Charlie Kirk had said, that he was in fear for his life, right? So let's go to the next clip. Y'all can see now where initially it was reported that it was a left-wing nut job, but now you're going to start seeing, just 24 hours later, how now the narrative is beginning to change. Let's go to the clips.
This is someone who knew exactly what they were doing, as someone who has a long history in shooting. This wasn't an amateur.
This assassination of Charlie Kirk is indicative of a professional hit.
It looks like a professional hit job from quite a ways away.
For the next week, an opposing person from the left gets assassinated. You have to know this is happening from an outside source, a different country that wants to see America have a civil war.
Doesn't this look like somebody who knew how to kill?
Very well planned, very well orchestrated. orchestrated plot.
So we have multiple voices in the news saying that this was not an amateur, multiple former FBI agents, law enforcement experts saying that this assassination has all the hallmarks of a professional hit job.
I think this assassination, different than the assassinated attempt back in Butler, Pennsylvania, was a very well planned, very well orchestrated plot that was put in motion days before, and this individual had a plan of escape to elude detection of being out up on a rooftop and also being able to evade and elude law enforcement after that shot was taken. When you take a look at what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania, Crooks came onto the venue, he left the venue, he came back, he was questioned. I mean, it was really an amateur scenario. This assassination of Charlie Kirk, to me, is indicative of a professional hit, and I'm not so sure that we are going to quickly be able to apprehend this individual without some luck, hopefully.
When you say professional hit, what do you mean by that exactly? Do you mean one shot, one kill, escape already planned and at large? It looks clean, yes, but could this be done by anybody with any sort of basic training?
Well, when you take a look at the video and you take a look at the venue and the spectators and how close they are to Charlie Kirk, and then you have that kind of like umbrella over him, that kind of tent, you have to know that this shooter had to be perched in a position with respect to being able to lay his sights perfectly, basically a headshot. And the shot that was taken to immediately incapacitate Charlie Kirk. And so this was not some amateur who just, got up on a rooftop because it was, what I consider spontaneous combustion. He got up this morning and decided he was going to do something crazy. This seems the earmark of a professional that got up onto this rooftop well in advance of the venue being occupied by the spectators. He was clearly undetected. There was no indication that anybody saw him up on this rooftop. Obviously, after that one single shot was taken, he was able to basically very quietly and systematically elude any further detection and escape. There's been no indication that there's been a vehicle identified or any mode of how he actually escaped the venue. And so to me, this is someone who had some experience, some level of sophistication to have mapped out exactly how this was going to go down.
It looks like a professional hit job from quite a ways away. Long shot, probably high-powered rifle, able to pierce the arteries in the neck. So someone who's professional, it appears. That's what the FBI's early assessment is. We're a long way from knowing a lot.
Ho. You're using a term. You're saying you use the word professional. What do you mean by that?
Someone who knew how to handle a gun. It wasn't someone that just got a spur-of-the-moment idea and was going to go shoot Charlie. It looks like it's from a longer distance, maybe from a building or window away. We're still learning stuff, and in the fog of war, it takes some time. So we're going to have to sort this out. But the early assessment of law enforcement officials I talked to is that this looked like somebody who knew how to kill and knew how to handle a gun and knew how to set up in a way that they could assassinate someone and then possibly get away, which is what they initially have done. They don't have anyone in custody yet. So they don't believe the shooter was in the crowd. The angle of shot suggested it was probably an elevated location, which would have to be a little bit further off, much like what we saw with President Trump's attempted assassination in Butler. Where
leads you to believe it's just not some random, at the last minute, emotional, like some of these school shootings we've seen or some of these other shootings we've seen, that it is something, looks like somebody that really knew their way around weapons and the way around getting a shot off and getting away, John Solomon?
There is some belief that this was intentional and thought out, perhaps a little bit. Some of the early assessments of the shot, the way where it landed, where it came from, suggests that there's some intentionality and maybe some marksman expertise in this.
Get right up.
Yeah. You think he'd already be in place?
You would think that. So there's somebody on the roof right there? Just saying? He just ran from over, where's my finger? Whoa. From over there, ran in, and now he's right there. Just saying.
Clip also seems to show someone on the roof.
You've got an individual who went to a rooftop dressed in dark clothing, found a sniper's perch, and made a very long shot, a single shot that resulted in this assassination. Likes to be in control. The offender characteristics of the assassin sniper are something that's been studied very closely, especially by the Secret Service. And it's someone who's methodical and patient, self-reliant. In other words, Caitlin, this is the kind of person who would have planned to get in silently, try to be invisible, take this shot, accomplish the mission, take the gun with them, and leave little evidence behind, which is why I think they're having a very difficult time getting started on this.
All right. So now y'all see. You see how the narrative has changed? What initially was being reported that it was this, older white guy, you know what I'm saying, who had the blue shirt on and all this, that they had caught, the suspect, whatever. But then that video, because I immediately, yesterday when he got shot, I immediately started looking on TikTok, on X, you know what I'm saying, everywhere, just to see anything that I could find, because I know how they like to change the narrative as things play out. And so, you know what I mean? I talked to a friend, yesterday, and got up this morning. Friend had sent me stuff and was like, we just talked about this, right? About maybe the Zionists are involved in this. But anyway, as you can see, there was someone on the roof. And I think when these people have these cell phones, you know what I mean? Now that destroyed that first narrative that they was going to run with, because people, captured this shooter on the roof, right? You know what I mean? Now you think about it, he come up there and had all black on. Now, if nobody captured him, then you know what I mean? That poor guy that they drug off, you see what I'm saying? Oh, well, he said he shot him or whatever, So either he was a plant to be a distraction, or else he was the one that they were going to pin this thing on, right? But you know what I'm saying? The fact that they got caught, you know what I'm saying? That shooter got caught on the roof. Now you see the narrative. Now you see the media. Oh, it was a professional assassin who done this. Well, that's all fine and dandy, but how does a professional assassin keep the EMTs and the paramedics from being on the scene? They're supposed to be there, right? Let me let y'all see this next clip.
How did this happen? How did a shooter who was on the roof and seen by many students, pointed out by many students, allowed to lay prone at 200 yards in a perfectly prone position in order to fire on Charlie?
Get right up.
Yeah. You think he'd already be in place?
You would think that. So there's somebody on the roof right there? Just saying? He just ran from over, where's my finger? Whoa, from over there, ran in, and now he's right there. Just saying.
To fire a perfectly timed shot right as he's speaking about violence in the United States, right as he's talking about trans mass shooters in the United States, and asking us to all reflect on this. This is a question we've asked on our show. Why are so many of these mass shootings carried out by people that are likely on SSRIs and some sort of medication, mental illness, and they're trans? Can we have that conversation? No, let's just shoot you instead. We don't want to talk about that because that's intolerant. Why was he wearing body armor? Why was Charlie Kirk wearing body armor? And of course, the way that the bullet hits him, you can see it clearly bouncing right off. It was a kill shot aimed right for his heart, to hit his aorta, to hit that entire, as a friend in law enforcement, former FBI told me today, he said it was like a mess of pipes right there. That you don't shoot someone in the head, that's for the movies. You shoot for the heart because any professional would do it that way. So Charlie was wearing body armor. It deflects the bullet up, hits him right in the neck, and kills him. But more importantly, why was there no ambulance or EMT on site? In Utah, as in other states, state regulations require gatherings over a certain percentage of people, over a certain number of people. Even cities have different regulations, require an EMT on site and an ambulance. Go to any local carnival in your neighborhood and you'll see an ambulance parked there, ready in case someone is injured. Why at this event with thousands of people? No ambulance, no medical, nothing. And so when he's shot, how does he get carried away? By 6 individuals grab him and throw him into the back of an SUV. Incredibly difficult to try to administer any kind of care on someone in an SUV. No room to move around, no way to really administer any kind of CPR, try to stop the bleeding, do what they can in the back of an SUV. No ambulance. So likely died on the way to the hospital. Why do we not have this shooter? FBI Director Kash Patel just moments ago posting that those individuals that they rounded up initially and were shared all over social media. Even the university said that they had captured the shooter. Wasn't the shooter at all. Who were these individuals? Who were these people? Eyewitnesses immediately said, this guy didn't do it. He's like a homeless guy. He has no money. We know the guy. He lives in our neighborhood. Like, this guy didn't shoot him. Other individuals rounded up. Why did one person who was rounded up, as you can see here, have a pellet gun in his possession? And photos were shared of law enforcement, shared on social media. We got the guy. This is the shooter. This is not the shooter. And why did he have a BB gun, essentially a pellet gun, in his possession? As friend of the show, former FBI agent Kyle Seraphin pointed out, this is a simple pellet gun. But that was shared all over social media. We got the guy. No, he's still at large. He's still at large at this level. So all that to say, we don't know who the shooter is. We do know that Charlie had told friends in recent weeks that he feared that Israel was going to kill him.
We do know that Charlie had told friends in recent weeks that he feared that Israel was going to kill him. We do know that Charlie had told friends in recent weeks that he feared that Israel was going to kill him.
Those are Charlie's words to friends, not mine, because his views on what has been transpiring in Gaza as the genocide has unfolded has evolved significantly from where he was months ago, apparently, according to friends that knew him well. So why was he wearing body armor? I mean, I guess just sort of any protection in an event like this would make sense, right? But he was telling friends that he actively thought he was going to be killed. Something to consider. We don't know more than that on that piece of it yet, as the story still evolves.
All right, so now y'all see the story is starting to take on a whole nother direction now, right? Charlie, according to, anonymous sources, that friends of friends was fearing that, he would be targeted by the Zionists should he ever turn on them, right? And why would he fear that? He basically has a young, conservative male following, right? If he starts turning on that whole Gaza war, he can influence, his followers, and so, if that's the case, no, we can't have you doing that, bro. You know what I mean? So does that have something to do with this, right? Allegedly, this is what, he was fearing that, he'd be taken out should he flip his stance, on the Israel-Gaza war over there. See, this is the thing what we've been talking about. These people have went down there. They needed our identity in order to go down there. That's why they took our identity from us, the real Israelites. Now they're down there trying to take over the land. You know what I mean? Without our identity, you have no right to go there. But the fact that y'all down here and y'all are, just committing atrocity after atrocity, it's causing Christians to have to say, I don't support that, right? Because Christians here in America were taught, you see what I'm saying? We stand with Israel because Jesus was a Jew, right? But now it's coming out that y'all not even really the true Jews. So now American Christians are having to go in and say, well, if they're not the true Jews, then who are, right? And at the same point in time, it's like, well, we're not going to stand with you just going over here, killing and murdering people. And people see those images, how can you claim to be a Christian and you supporting, the atrocities against women and children, right? So it's putting, American Christians in a bind. So now, as you see these political leaders, now they're in a pickle, because do I say I stand with Israel, or do I start condemning Israel about what's going on over in Gaza? So now, if this is what Charlie Kirk was starting to feel, you know what I'm saying? Of course, he becomes a threat if he flips, right? So this is why when we start looking at these things on a bigger perspective, we start realizing, okay, did that have something to do with it? But something else that occurred, because when I talked with my friend I was telling y'all about, it came to me last night. Anytime there's been, any type of negotiations, Israel has went in and struck, to stop those negotiations of peace or whatever from happening, right? This may have been done to get what happened 2 days ago out of the media. You say, Brother Tim, what happened 2 days ago? Most of y'all know. Hamas was going into Qatar, right, to do this peace agreement, with this Israel-Gaza thing. Israel takes and turns around and goes over there and bombs Gaza. Bombs in Qatar. Now, Qatar is its own sovereign country, right? I'm gonna show y'all that when we, after I show y'all the clip. But anyway, they went over there and hit, tried to assassinate Hamas people in a sovereign country in Qatar, right? The whole world is condemning them for that. This is the response that Netanyahu gave just 2 days ago, and it put Trump on the hot seat, right? Let me show y'all the clip.
A day after Israeli airstrikes in Qatar that targeted Hamas leaders, Prime Minister Netanyahu has defended the strike and threatened further action against Qatar. The Israeli Prime Minister said that Israel targeted Hamas leaders in Qatar, which is similar to how US pursued Al-Qaeda after 9/11. Mincing no words, the Israeli Prime Minister warned Qatar to either expel Hamas leaders or bring them to justice.
After the terrorist masterminds who committed the October 7th massacre, and we did so in Qatar, which gives safe haven. It harbors terrorists. It finances Hamas. It gives its terrorist chieftains sumptuous villas. It gives them everything. So we did exactly what America did when it went after the terrorist, the Al-Qaeda terrorists in Afghanistan, and after they went and killed Osama bin Laden in Pakistan.
Well, the statement comes even as President Donald Trump reportedly told Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu that his decision to target Hamas inside Qatar wasn't wise. The Wall Street Journal reported that Trump held a heated phone call with Prime Minister Netanyahu after his military targeted Hamas inside Qatar. Now, Netanyahu told US President that he had a brief window to launch the airstrike and they took the opportunity. A second call between the two leaders later that day was cordial, with Trump asking Netanyahu if the attack had gone successfully.
Ceased firing.
President Trump clashed with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in a heated call after Israel launched a surprise attack against Hamas in Qatar. This, according to the Wall Street Journal. Trump, blindsided by the attack, called it unwise and warned that it undermined U.S.-backed ceasefire talks and relations with Qatar, a key mediator. Netanyahu defended his actions, saying that he only had a brief window to strike. Hamas says that all of its top leaders survived, but 6 members were killed. The strikes derailed negotiations and also angered Qatar, complicating President Trump's Middle East peace agenda, even as he continues to back Israel's campaign against Hamas.
All right, so here's the map. And as you can see down here, this is where Qatar is, right? We know that Israel's back over here, okay? So what happened is that you had people, some representatives from Hamas that had come down here, to supposedly work out a peace agreement, between Israel and, Hamas. Well, Israel comes over here and bombs in the capital city of Doha trying to kill those representatives of Hamas. So they violated a country's sovereignty. You know, you can't come in my country and just bomb stuff, right? So what did Netanyahu did in his defense, he throws America under the bus and says, well, we did what America done. We went and when America went over there and to Pakistan, when America went over there into Afghanistan. So we did the same thing, right? So you see how he's basically like, we don't care what nobody got to say. We'll violate anybody's sovereignty. We'll do whatever the heck we want to do. You know what I'm saying? So now what he's done is caused Qatar, Iraq, Iran, Saudi Arabia, as you can see right here, the United Arab Emirates down here, all of these people, you know, are now beginning to band together and say, you know what I mean, that Israel is becoming a rogue nation state, okay? All right, so as many of you already know on this channel, you know what I'm saying, we talk about Albert Pike's letter to Mazzini, you know, and we talk about how they planned 3 world wars, the Luciferians, right? We drop down to the Third World War, and what do we see? The Third World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences caused by the agentur of the Illuminati between the political Zionists, which would be Israel and Netanyahu, and the leaders of the Islamic world. So you see how they're doing exactly what Pike had said in the 1800s and 70s, right? The war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, the Muslim Arabic world, and political Zionism, the state of Israel, mutually destroy each other, right? Meanwhile, the other nations once more divided on this issue, which is exactly what's happening. But you see all the rest of these nations, you know what I'm saying, are abandoning, you know, America to the point it's just America and Israel that looks like is doing this, right? But meanwhile, other nations, once more divided on the issue, will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economical exhaustion. We shall unleash the nihilists and the atheists, and we shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm, which in all its horror will show clearly to the nations the effect of absolute atheism, origin of savagery, and of the most bloody turmoil. So this is to destroy the world order as we know it, right? This is what the Illuminati, the Luciferians are really up to. Then everywhere, the citizens obliged to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries will exterminate those destroyers of civilization and the multitude disillusioned with Christianity. Well, who's the country that's supposed to be the most Christian country in the world? America, right? But America is going down, you know what I'm saying, with these Zionists, right? So this is what it says, who deistic spirits, which is what now all of a sudden Americans are starting to question, you know, Christianity because of the brutality of this, of the government supporting these Zionists, you know what I'm saying, atheists, basically, because they're secular. These people don't believe in the Most High, yeah? They just down there in name only, right? Whose deistic spirits will from that moment be without compass or direction, so they want you to lose your faith. Anxious for an ideal, but without knowing where to render its adoration, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer, brought finally out in the public view. So this is what the Luciferians are really up to bring in this new world order, right? So call it a conspiracy theory or whatever you want to call it, but it sure looks like that's exactly the playbook of which they're taking. Now, remember, the thing that even hit me about this is, are these Zionists sending a message to Trump? Because are they trying to bully Trump? Because this is not the first time, you know, this Qatar incident, this ain't the first time they did this. Just 2 months ago, when that whole thing popped off with Iran and Israel, right? Trump and America was supposed to go over there to Iran to negotiate, you see what I'm saying, a nuclear agreement. Israel, while they were supposed to be meeting to do this, bombed Iran and killed Iran's, you know what I'm saying, nuclear scientists and all this type of stuff. And that's what started it. Now, did they expect for, you know what I mean, Iran to turn on America, or did they expect America, you know, once Iran started hitting Israel, that America would jump into the war? Is this thing going on because Trump is not taking America to war? So Netanyahu continues to keep swatting the beehives, trying to stir everything up? Okay? For those of y'all who don't know what I'm talking about, let me show you the next clip.
Israel's launched a major military attack on Iranian nuclear and military capabilities, killing dozens of top military officials and scientists, along with civilians. At least 200 fighter jets have struck over 100 targets across Iran, including Iran's main uranium enrichment site in Natanz and a nuclear research site in Tabriz. Strikes have also been reported across Tehran, the Iranian capital. The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said the strikes will continue for as many days as it takes.
Moments ago, Israel launched Operation Rising Lion, a targeted military operation to roll back the Iranian threat to Israel's very survival. This operation will continue for as many days as it takes to remove this threat.
Include Iran's top military and nuclear leaders, including Hossein Salami, Commander-in-Chief of the elite Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, Mohammad Bagheri, Chief of Staff of Iran's Armed Forces, and Ali Shamkhani, a close aide to Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Nuclear scientists Mohammad Mehdi Taranshi and Feyerdoun Abbasi have also been killed. Iran's foreign affairs minister has said the country has a, quote, legal and legitimate right to respond. It's been reported Iran has launched at least 100 drones towards Israel that are being intercepted. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio claimed the U.S. was not involved in the strikes, while Trump posted on social media, quote, I gave Iran chance after chance to make a deal. The Israeli attacks came as the U.S. and Iran have been engaged in talks over a possible new nuclear agreement.
All right, so you heard what she said. You know, that bombing by Israel happened and they went to Iran and did that, right? That bombing happened when the United States and Iran was in negotiations to work on, was supposed to meet to negotiate to work on, you know what I'm saying, getting a nuclear agreement, with Iran. Well, Israel comes over there and bomb them. Iran now all of a sudden starts bombing Israel back, and then the United States, went over there, bombed Iran's nuclear thing. And I think Trump, because they saying that Trump, kind of let Iran know that he was coming. They moved some of their stuff, out of the way, But in retaliation, they let Trump know that they was going to hit that military base, right? Which when they hit the military base, the United States had kind of moved something. So the bottom line is that's what prevented the United States and Iran entering into this great big war. Now, is this, why the Zionists got a problem with Trump? Because immediately after all those things start happening, if y'all don't recall, that's when all of this Epstein stuff started happening, where they start saying that Trump, was part of Epstein. This Epstein stuff been for years, but all of a sudden it just came up like in July, right?
Tonight, the breaking news, a CNN exclusive tonight out front. K-File has unearthed photos of Jeffrey Epstein that we've never seen, and they shed new light on his relationship with President Trump. The revelations come as Trump is under fire from his own base for his Justice Department's handling of the so-called Epstein files. Trump has tried, of course, to distance himself from Epstein every which way, but one of the photos that K-File found confirms that Epstein actually attended Donald Trump's wedding to Marla Maples. And this is the proof. Again, this has never been published before, so this is a new image. You haven't seen it out there on X or anything like that. This is the proof that Epstein attended Trump's wedding at the Plaza Hotel in New York. And in the photo, what you see is Epstein entering the Plaza Hotel. The wedding date of this is December 20th, 1993, in the center of their friendship, which of course continued. And for comparison, we'll show you on the right a photo of Trump and Marla Maples at the same location under the entryway arch. Andrew Kaczynski of K-File is here with the new images of Trump and Epstein. And Andrew, I shared one of them there, but, so let's start with the one at Trump's wedding. I mean, this is a significant development.
Well, yeah, it is. Trump's wedding to Marla Maples in 1993 was dubbed the wedding of the century by the media at the time. And although we know that Trump and Epstein were friends during this period, this is really the first time that it's actually been reported that Trump invited Epstein to his wedding. This is, we should note, more than a decade before those first allegations of sex trafficking against Epstein. But as you know, Trump's relationship with Epstein has been under the microscope recently. Now, besides that one photo of Epstein entering the reception at the Plaza Hotel, we can also see him in the background of another picture. That's Howard Stern on the far right, along with Robin Leach from Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, and Epstein is behind them at the wedding, almost seeming to be photobombing them. We also found this photo from just a few months earlier, Donald Trump with two of his children talking to Jeffrey Epstein. That's at the opening of the Harley-Davidson Cafe in New York in October 1993. You can see Ivana there. She would have been just about to turn 12 years old in that photo.
Yeah, you can see Ivanka right there it looks like between Trump and Epstein.
All right, so y'all see the Epstein stuff, right? And I'm going to show y'all when that came out. But let's go back and let's talk about, so y'all know when I'm talking about, when I was telling you about how Iran fired on the missile at the U.S. base in Qatar, okay? Right? So you see that actually happened. This is an article from Reuters, right? On June 23rd of 2025. Okay, it says Doha, Istanbul, Tel Aviv, June 23rd, Reuters. Iran launched a missile attack on an American airbase in Qatar on Monday that caused no injuries. And President Donald Trump dismissed it as a weak response to U.S. attacks while urging Iran and Israel to make peace as the conflict entered its 12th day. So you see, Trump didn't get involved into the war. He didn't take America to war. The attack on Al Udeid Air Base in neighboring Qatar, right? So Iran struck, you know what I'm saying, this air base in Qatar, right? Threatened to widen a conflict that began on June 13th with an Israeli strike on Iran targeting its nuclear program and ballistic missiles, okay? So you see that happened in June. Now let me show you that CNN article that I just showed you was just from a month ago, and here we are in September. So let me show y'all that. All right, so as y'all can see from here, you see this video that I just showed y'all with her saying that these new, never before published Trump Epstein photos, this came out just 1 month ago, right? So now let's put two and two together. Israel, goes over here and strikes Iran, you know what I mean? When Iran was trying to work this nuclear agreement with, the United States, so that they wouldn't have to get into this great big conflict. Israel comes over there and bombs them. Trump then, goes in after Iran starts bombing Israel, and he strikes, Iran's nuclear facilities. Then Iran turns around, and they bomb a United States air base in Qatar. Right. So it seems like Qatar kind of let the United States and Iran kind of work it out without there having to be a great big major conflict. Right. So now you see where they got this thing where, it looks like Qatar is trying to help the United States and Trump work out an agreement between Hamas and Israel. And this is where Netanyahu comes in and, tries to assassinate the Hamas officials in Qatar. Right. So let's go back to those clips again, so now y'all can understand better what I'm saying.
Israel targeted senior Hamas leadership in Qatar yesterday, launching a military strike on Doha. Hamas says its top leaders there were considering a U.S. proposal for a Gaza ceasefire. Though they survived the strike, 5 lower-ranking members died in the attack. A Qatari security staffer was also killed. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu spoke yesterday after the attack.
At noon today, I convened the heads of Israel's security organizations and authorized a surgical precision strike on the terrorist chiefs of Hamas. These are the same terrorist chiefs who planned, launched, and celebrated the horrific massacres of October 7th.
The leaders of Jordan and the United Arab Emirates are reportedly set to arrive in Qatar today. Saudi Arabian Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman is expected to visit tomorrow. Meanwhile, the families of the remaining Israeli hostages held in Gaza say they fear for the fate of their loved ones. Einav Zangar, the mother of Israeli hostage Matan, condemned Netanyahu for the attack on Qatar.
I am trembling with fear. I am trembling with fear. It could be that at this very moment, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has essentially sentenced my Matan to death. Anyone who deliberately chooses to endanger my child's life is murdering him. Why does the Prime Minister insist on blowing up every small chance for a deal? Why?
World leaders condemned the strike, including France, Germany, Britain, the European Union. Germany's chancellor called Israel's attack on Qatar unacceptable, adding, quote, the war must not spread to the entire region, unquote. China and Russia have also denounced the attack. The White House said it warned Qatar just prior to the attack, but Qatar said it only received notice from the U.S. as the capital was being hit by Israeli strikes. On social media, Trump wrote, quote, I view Qatar as a strong ally and friend of the U.S. and feel very badly about the location of the attack. Trump spoke yesterday.
I'm not thrilled about the whole situation. It's not a good situation. But I will say this, we want the hostages back, but we are not thrilled about the way that went down today.
Qatari Prime Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdulrahman Al Thani said yesterday Qatar's mediation efforts were central to its identity and that the Israeli attack will not deter its diplomatic role.
The Israeli attack that took place today on Qatari soil, we cannot call it anything other than state terrorism practiced by someone like Netanyahu in the context of these systematic policies and his ongoing attempts that have destabilized regional security and stability. It's simply a clear message to the region as a whole.
All right, so you see, you got most of Europe who are condemning this, right? You got Russia and China condemning this, you know? So the question to ask is, you know, why is Israel running around here violating other countries' sovereign space, and especially Qatar? Because that's, you know, a United States ally, right? And you go over here and do that. Now Trump got to come up here and stand on the podium and be like, well, I wasn't happy about it. Well, you know, so why did you do that? Right? You know what I mean? And at first they said, oh, yeah, they let us know they was doing it, and then got caught in a lie because Qatar was like, no, they didn't. They didn't tell us, right? When they went over there and when Israel went over there and violated their sovereign space and tried to kill Hamas, right? So the bottom line is, you see, now all of a sudden, you know, that happens 2 days ago. So was Charlie Kirk, you know what I mean, assassinated to get all of that stuff out of the media cycle, to get everybody to quit looking at what Israel has did over there to Qatar and trying to start, you know what I mean, war with all the Arab countries over there? Right? Just destabilizing the whole region? Or was he taken out because they wanted to send a message to Trump to say, listen, I know that's your boy. I know how much you were fond of Charlie Kirk. I know how much he supported you and everything. But if you don't do what we're telling you to do, you can end up like him. Right? I don't know if that's what happened. I'm just speculating. That being said, thank y'all for watching. Most High bless y'all. We got to pray, people. Just keep praying. Ask the Most High. If you don't know him, ask him to fill you with his Holy Spirit. Pray in the name of Jesus. Some of y'all say Yahusha. Some of y'all say Yahweh. Ask him to forgive you for your sins. They are trying to destroy this world order as we know it, right? And when the next world order comes in, it's Luciferian reign. Y'all have a blessed day. Thanks for watching. Shalom.